This is the Trek FX+. It's a bit of an older electric bike from around 2012. Well, current day, it's about late 2014. They've got a bike called like the T80 Plus that's sort of taken over. You can't really get this one anymore unless you find it at a shop or used. But it was a pretty decent electric bike, and it used the Bionics drive system back here that's known for being super quiet, efficient, and pretty sophisticated with regenerative braking and four modes of pedal assist, 4 modes of regen. You can see here, this is the first generation console for the Bionics system, and what we're looking at is the equivalent of a PL 350, so it's a 350 watt geared direct drive motor right there with a 36 volt battery pack right there in the rear. And you can see that there's a lock right here, and that's where you charge it, and it's built onto this nice aluminum rack, so you can, you know, transport some goods with maybe panniers or a little bag on the back. What I really like about this bike, first of all, is that it's got these nice road bike tires. There aren't a whole lot of really efficient road style electric bikes. And in fact, it actually has a carbon fork right here, which is going to reduce some of the vibration and lighten the bike up. I just weighed this. I have like a hand scale. It's 45 pounds, which isn't super light. And frankly, a lot of the weight is in the rear. And so when you pick this bike up, it just like immediately tips backwards. And this kind of adds a little bit of swing to the bike when you're riding around. But again, for like a 2012 bike, a bike that's like effectively, you know, 3 years old, it wasn't too bad. And the fact that it's also got built-in lights, you can see right there, there's a front light, and on the battery pack, there's a rear light. That's going to add an element of safety. That's cool, and it's sort of all powered off of this main battery pack. You don't have to worry about replacing batteries or forgetting and leaving the lights on, that kind of thing. And so I love how integrated it is. I also love that this bike comes in multiple sizes. I believe it comes in 15-inch, 17-inch, 19-inch, 20-inch, maybe even like 21.5. I couldn't confirm that. But, you know, this is Trek. They're like the biggest bicycle manufacturer in the world, and you could get this bike in a size that would really fit your body and offer a quality ride. I also love that they've got 2 bottle cage bosses here, so you could add plenty of water for hydration. And again, there is a Bionics setup now that sort of fits in the middle of your frame, and it sort of takes this space up. It improves the balance. It keeps your weight lower and more centered, but of course it takes up the bottle cage location. So there's always trade-offs with these things. In terms of the drivetrain, we're looking at Shimano DRA. Looks like LX, and there's 9 sprockets in the rear, 3 rings in the front, and that gives you 27 speeds to work with, which isn't too bad. You got shifters on the left and the right, and these nice sort of ergonomic grips up here by Bone Trogger, which is Trek's like in-house accessories line. You can see there's also the Bone Trogger stem right here, fixed. It's got a couple of stacks in there, so you could kind of customize this. It's pretty straight bar. Again, this is a relatively like city/road oriented bike, and the tires themselves are 700 by 32. So again, just really thin. They're basically slicks, and you feel the ride a little bit more, especially when you're going like 20 miles per hour using electric assist. We've got V-brakes in the front, V-brakes in the rear. No quick release right here. There is quick release in the front, but not at the rear, and that's pretty traditional for some of these older Bionic systems, which means, you know, you need tools to change a flat or to true the wheel, and there's really a little bit more messing around that has to be done. Although they do have kind of this quick release so that the motor isn't too tricky to deal with. It's just there's more going on back here, which is worth keeping in mind. Nice big kickstand that they've just added on this one, that Alpha aluminum, so it's aluminum frame. Let's check out the cockpit. This one has a little bell added, and these nice Tektro brake levers that actually have a built-in cutoff switch right here to the motor. So if you're pedaling and it's activating the assist through a torque sensor that's right in the motor, and you pull the brake lever, only the right lever, it's going to cut the motor power. Also going to activate regenerative braking. So like when I pull the brake lever, you can see there's like a G right there. That means generate. Otherwise, if it's left open, it's on assist. So there are 4 levels of assist, with 4 being the highest. That's going to use your battery the fastest, but give you a lot of power. Again, up to 20 miles per hour. And you can arrow down to 0, which basically this just works like a cycle computer with your distance, your odometer, how far you've traveled. and your battery level as well as your speed. And then you can go down to generate, 4 levels of generate. Okay, and so that turns this into like a workout machine. If you're on flats, you're working against the motor, and it's giving you a little bit of juice back into the battery pack. Not a whole lot, but I think where I've used this the most is going down big hills when I don't want to activate the brakes. I can just almost like engine brake with this thing and sort of feel like I'm putting some energy back into the battery. So one of my favorite things about the Bionic system, as mentioned earlier, was that it allows you to regenerate, but also that it's just so quiet. One drawback to this whole gearless direct drive design, though, is that there's some cogging, which means that there's magnets and a stator element in there that turns into an electromagnet, and that's what makes the motor go, but that also sort of slows it down. There's a natural repelling force happening in there when you're just coasting. So I'm going to try to demonstrate that. So maybe you could see it just didn't coast quite as long and as smoothly as if this was maybe a geared motor with a freewheel element or a mid-drive. Again, one of the trade-offs, but as you'll see in a moment when I hop on this thing, it's super quiet and just very, very smooth, which is sweet. So I'm in assist level 4 right now, and as I start pedaling, I'll put the camera back by the motor. Zipped us right up, and as soon as I activated that brake lever, whoa, you could see the generate thing, and really just slows you down. You can feel it kind of humming a little bit more as electricity gets put back in. A little bit more of an aggressive stance here. You kind of lean a bit more towards the grips. This bike might not be the perfect size for me, but again, that's that sort of like urban, almost road style bike setup. Well, that's the Trek FX+, a bike from around 2012. It's a decent bike, and you can kind of see how the elements used here have been refined on newer bikes. For the full write-up on this, including specs and more pictures, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com.